Hey, what's up, guys? This is Justin from Justice League Swag, and today I'm going to be doing a regional recap and a deck profile on my Legend World deck. So, first off, I played Standard for Vanguard on Saturday. I did pretty well. I went 4-2 with Dimension Police. Yeah, let's get that marker in there. But after my second loss, I dropped. The deck is really good. My only losses were to like my own bad luck. Like one game I lost because I never drew another grade 3 and I never saw the great. And then the next game I lost was to OTT when 2 of my Dayusha went to damage off the bat. So I was stuck in a position where I was going to have to G-assist. And on the turn I was going to G-assist, I drew my one of tech. What is it called? The crit guy. So yeah, that was my fault with the deck build. So for the unfortunate luck. So I realized like in best of 1 formats, it's not ideal to run techs. Yeah, tech. Like it's better to just have all around consistency. But the game was fun as usual. It's always fun playing Bushiroad games because the community is great. The Vanguard players are awesome. The Buddy Fight players are awesome. It always makes you want to go back. And Bushiroad does a really good job with like staffing and stuff. The staff are knowledgeable now. The judges are knowledgeable. So with Buddy Fight, I ended up going undefeated in Swiss with swords, and then I lost in the first round of the top 8. So starting up the Buddy, still Leviathan. We'll do the items first. I'm running 3 Savage mode. Leviathan. This card is really clutch, especially with the impact spam. You don't have to worry about Loud Voice as much as you used to because Thunder Emperor Fangs isn't played as much, but a lot of other Dragon World decks were. So you just would loop items to build up a defensive stance for your opponent's turn. I'll explain how to do that. With Savage Form, its ability activates as soon as you enter battle. So once you enter battle, you can equip an item from your drop zone by paying its equip cost. So a lot of times you would just equip an item that doesn't have an equip cost because then you don't have to pay your buddy skill of equipping an additional item. Because this forces you to pay a gauge when you equip an item from hand, not from drop zone. So Savage Form gets around it. What I usually do with the impact spam is I will, with Infallible Blade Wall, send my Excalibur replicas to the drop zone to draw. Then Final Phase Impact, get another Excalibur replica from the deck and equip it. Then since I have another battle phase from the impact, I get to equip 2 more items. So from there, I discard 2 more items from my hand to equip my replicas that I just sent to the drop zone. So it's free. So it's another 12 damage, no counters that your opponent cannot stop. Unless they rush the cards. Or Loud Voice. But if they Loud Voice already, like typically you would not do that. Savage Form is also good for Blade Wall for you to spam your defensive spells. Next up, the Buddy is at 4. I was running it at 3, but I put it back at 4 because of the new Punk deck. Because they could just tribute your item and then all of your stuff falls off board. A lot of times against that deck, it wasn't that bad when my opponent would like tribute everything. What I would do to get around that deck was, before my opponent's next turn, if I couldn't finish them, I would pitch a lot of my items by gaining 4 with the Skill General spell, or with Infallible Blade Walls in order to draw. So usually going into that turn, I would only have 2 items on board. It's really good, really good, really good. Next up at 4 Scabbard. It searches all of your other items. You always want to search Savage Form so you could keep netting pluses. And I almost always use Savage Form's Overkill instead of using anything else. I was still running 1 of this Iron Sword replica. It only helped me in the Garga match. Next up is 2 Dorndale. Main 2, and I probably should have sided 2. But this just stops your stuff from being destroyed. I needed it against my Chaos matchup, but I charged it because I didn't know that he was running item destruction. So that cost me game 2 on that matchup. Next up, 3 Nagelring. I'm running this at 3 now because I'm running the impact of 2 and I'm siding to the impact. And this allows me to spam the impact a few times in the turn. It's really dirty because you can swing with this gauge, swing with another one gauge, then using Blade Wall skill or skill general, send them to the drop zone, either gain 4 life or draw if you're using Infallible Blade Wall. And then the final phase impact, re-equip these and equip, you could equip another one from the deck if you have another impact, then swing with all of them again. You gauge 3 more, then you could cast the impact again and then get another item, and then Savage Form will proc again and give you 2 more swords from drop. Like, it's really dirty, and it helps you deal with stuff like the Link Dragon set. Next but not least, this item is only on hit, so we are only running 3 Dainsleif. Almost everybody always negated it, but it's good for pressure, good for plussing, good getting engaged and keeping your life up above impact radius. But because its ability is like on hit and once per turn, I'm only running at 3 because you can always search it out. Lastly, for items, I'm running 4 Excalibur Replica. It basically tells your opponent, hey, if you got a counter, get fucked. They have to either rest it, or like what Star Dragon World does is they just pay they have the new like Loud Voice clone where they pay a gauge, everything loses 5k in 1 crit. That like cost me round 2 against Robert Russo. So this card is really good. I'll get into matchups. Then last but not least for swords, 2 Trishula. It's good to crank out damage. It helped me win my match against Link Dragons with them getting so high with their life. He got up to like 30, I think 32 or 38 first game. Not completely like messed up against that. So second game he only got up to 23, so I just killed him. And then third game he got up to 23 and I killed him before he could get higher. Impacts, we are only running 2. The reason why we're only running 2 is because for a lot of decks we don't need the extra impact turn. This is for like the stuff that can out like wall me, like the Link Dragons with their life, or Plague. If Plague, well, I didn't have a Plague matchup, but just in case they did Narcolepsy and rest all of my items, I could then Infallible Blade Wall, send my Excaliburs to the drop zone, draw 2 cards, then final phase impact. I get another battle phase, then bring back those items, so I'm still cranking a ton of damage on them. So this was the sidestep, and it's pretty good because it's a Legend World hero. You could literally just negate an attack next turn with Bloody Holy Grail and then get it back to hand. And then run this whole same attack scenario again. Monsters, 4 Awardal. Makes all of your discards free, and then for the Punk matchup, it was pretty clutch. Like the first Punk deck I played in Swiss, I think it was round 4, and I 2-0'd it. Thanks to Awardal. Great card. So whenever he would attack, I would negate and then get Awardal back. Ideally, that's what you want to do in that matchup. If they're dropping your swords, it doesn't matter as much if they can't completely deplete your hand engage. Spells are next. Yangle Guard, it's once per turn, so we're running it at 3. It's good. Discard a Excalibur or something that you want to equip from the drop zone and then draw 2. Or I could discard the Skill General. Next up, also 3 of, because it's once per turn, Merlin's Advice. I see it so much a lot of times when I see a Merlin's Advice off of the draw 3, I'll put that one into the gauge, because you can always get this out of the drop zone if you absolutely need it by just casting the Bloody Holy Grail. So it's like with this deck, a lot of times you just have to play what you have. Anything that's once per turn you want to just drop, because you could get it back with Bloody Holy Grail. Next up, 3 of Skill Generals Inside. Skill General was really good for a defense loop to outlast a lot of decks if you don't draw a wider stat. So what you do is, on your turn, if you can't finish your opponent, you after your swings, you counter, drop one of your swords to gain 4 life. Then when it comes to your opponent's turn, you negate their attack with Bloody Holy Grail and then get Skill General back. Before they swing again, you pitch one of your items to the drops on the gain 4. Then when they actually swing, you can Bloody Holy Grail again and get back the Skill General. That's how, like, I survived Astral Dragon's Onslaught when I had to play against Rob Russo. And it's also really good to survive, like, a lot of attacks from other decks. So all you need to do is see at least one of these in the drop zone, and then all your Bloody Holy Grails are helping you survive even easier. Next up, the one who leads at 3. You can get it out of the drop zone. It's once per turn. That's why I run it at 3. I do not run the other spell where you can equip 2 items from hand without paying their equip cost, just because you gotta have items in hand, and with the Punk deck, that's really hard to do now. So it's just this one. It helped me out a lot when they would like wipe my board, because then I could equip my Leviathan again, and then equip Excalibur, then just equip something else or Savage Form, then get it back. Next, Fable of the Sword Sage. I was running it too. I didn't really do too much with this, and this meta is kind of useless. I would actually take this out for Heroic Tale so that I could gauge 4. So yeah, I would definitely take this out, but I was running it because of last meta. I was expecting to see like Athora and Plague, but I didn't play either one of them, and I used this ability like once to ditch a sword and cycle 2, but I didn't even need to do the cycle because my hand was pretty much set. Also, by the way, my deck is 55 cards. I tried to get it down, but it was like no way to get it down. Bloody Holy Grail at 4. You have a hero on the field, you negate, you get, I think it's hero item. Yes, if you have a hero item equipped, then you can get a hero back from your drop zone. So it could be anything. Depending on the match would determine what you get. Then the 3 Infallible Blade Wall. This card is super clutch. A lot of people that were smart will always tribute or destroy this first if they could. But it's just so good. Like, what you want to do a lot of times, like if you have to use Scabbard to search for Savage Form and you have Blade Wall, you dump and draw, get Savage Form. Then when you get Savage Form, send your Scabbard to the drop zone to draw, and then that helps you pay for the cost for Savage Form. And a lot of times doing this with all of the draw stuff in the game, I would draw into an Alwadar, which makes that Savage Form equip free. Then, last but not least, the ender of your turn. Wider Stat. Great spell. Like, this card is clutch, but I'm only running it at 2 because I didn't think it would help me in a Plague matchup or Punk. So I mained at 2 and then sideboarded 2. With my matchups, like I pretty much saw this with defense loop first game, then sided in the other 2 depending on what my opponents were playing. Let's go matches. My first match I had to play against Link Dragons. I ended up losing the first round to them because I made an error and I attacked all of his monsters instead of attacking him. So at the end of the game, he barely survived like all the rest of my attacks at 2 life. So had I been attacking him the entire game, I would have like won and beat him 2-0. So game 2, I won. And then game 3, I won. I think his name was Max. So he was pretty good. He almost made top 8. Well, I got the 2-round bye, so that was round 3 for me. Then round 4, because it was 7 rounds, I think I had to play against, it was a repair. I had to play against the Punk deck. He got the set spell and everything off against me, but I had Orbital's, I had the One Who Leads, I had Gangle, so I had a lot of stuff to ramp up. But he hit me up with, I forgot what the card is. It's a generic card that says that your opponent can draw, so my following turn, he had stopped my draw mechanics. But I had enough damage on board in between the One Who Leads to finish him. So in game 2, he wanted to go first, and he started doing his things. But I got around it. Like, when I couldn't finish him, he dropped all of my items, but I had the One Who Leads again, negated and got back an Orbital. So between that and Savage Storm, I had enough damage on board to win. After that was round 5. Round 5 is when I had to play against Astro Dragons, piloted by Robert Russo. He kept asking for this match. I don't like to play friends when I go to regionals. I like to play people I don't know. So, game 1, I OTK'd him. So, game 2, he wanted me to go first so that he could try to OTK me. His first attack at bat, I just ended his battle phase. But when I casted my 2 gauge and 2 life to pay for it, the other 2 that I had sided in both went to the drop zone. So I was just like, yeah, rip. My next turn, I tried to finish him because I knew I didn't have defense options to survive all of his stuff. But he easily just, he played Tour the Spell to drop all of my stuff to 0 and no crit. So, yeah, rip. Then game 3, I got him because I made him go first, and then swinging out with the OTK. He couldn't stop my swings for too long. I swung at his center with Excalibur Replica for no counters, pin for 1. Then swung at him again, pin for 1. So before my 3rd attack, I just link attacked with everything because I was playing around his after 3 attack in your battle phase card. So, and then, like, after that attack, he showed me his hand, and he did indeed have it in hand. So, a lot of times, like, with this deck, it's like, card knowledge helps you beat a lot of other stuff. Because I played all of the new decks, like, off the bats. After the star matchup, that was 5. 6, I had to play against Henry Gross, who was playing Chaos. Game 1, I OTK'd him. So, game 2... he made me go first. I started doing all of my stuff, and I forgot that Chaos has a card that can destroy all items on board. So I had just charged Dorndale, so it was a mistake on my part, and he played the spell to wipe my items. So, needless to say, I lost that one because it's Chaos. Game 3, we didn't have enough time to really play. So what we did was we just did a die roll, and we both agreed that the loser of the die roll would concede. He rolled a 7, then I rolled a 7. Then for the next roll, he rolled Snake Eyes. So that was like really bad luck with him because game 3 between us could have went either way. But I was definitely going to make him go first so I could try to OTK him. Then the last round, because that was round 6. Round 7, I had to play against Kai, who was running Garga. And with Garga, like, all of the new decks I had no knowledge on. I, like, learned all of the decks the night before from reading the cards or, like, the advice from my friends. Like, shout out to Khalil Grantons for your advice on Link Dragons. And then shout out to, Austin McDonald for your advice on Stars, Astro, Star Dragon World. And then Brian Ashbrook for your advice on and intel on Danger World, Punk deck. And I think the last one, Garga, I learned on my own by just reading the cards the day before. But all I did for that matchup was game 1 for 7. I OTK'd my opponent. He had a bad hand. Game 2, I whiffed on I whipped on Overkill because I was forced to do that because I drew like all items. So I got a bad hand game 2 and he just OTK'd me. So game 3 we actually battled it out and I barely finished him with a 2 attack. But I still had like a ton of life and a negate. But playing against Kai, he was pretty cool. Then top 8 I had to play against Zach, who was playing Punk again. But in this matchup, I screwed up huge game 1 because I forgot to use the ability of Savage Form because the crowd kept oohing and ahhing every time he played a card. So I got annoyed and I started like catching an attitude and I messed up. I messed up big time. So he took game 1 because of my mistakes, and then game 2 I made him go first. He dropped all of my gauge, tried to take away from my hand, but I had all it all. So next turn, I was able to get it off with the one who leads, and then I like OTK'd him. Game 3, by this point, I was still annoyed because of the crowd, because usually they have a ton of space between the crowd when we play, but everybody that was watching top 8 was sitting like literally like 1 to 2 feet away from me. So they were like talking about the match, saying stuff that we could or couldn't do. So I was just pissed by then. So I made a huge mistake and tried to equip 2 Excaliburs for my deck by playing the equip cost, but I had 2 Bloody Holy Grails in hand, so I couldn't equip them. Because we had already entered the battle phase, I told Zach that I couldn't equip them and I had to go back. Then one of the guys from the audience says that's an irreparable game state and I should get a loss. And I'm like, dude, I said, like, dude, you're not even playing. That's when the judges started getting on the people, finally, that was on the sidelines. So Zach was pretty cool, and he told me to take it back. The judge told us that we had to run it back. And, like, I was kind of mad at this point, so I just, like, fucked up. I completely forgot about his abilities game 1, that when I swung to, I would have to drop cards from hand, so he crushed me. And then game 3 wasn't even really a game. He kind of just looped and wiped my board. So, it is what it is. Next time, I know to say something before I even play anything, or to at least talk to judges, and they're giving us more space from the like audience so you can just focus. But lastly, for my sideboard, I messed up. I only had 9 cards in my sideboard because I couldn't think of anything else to play. But now I would put in the Gauge card just for the Punk matchup. I was playing 2 more wider stat, like I said. Then I was playing 2 Breathing Guard for Plague and for the Punk deck. If they were going to if I still had Gauge and they were going to cast the draw spell, I could, instead of me losing anything, I could just counter negate their draw spell. 1 Rum of the Sword of the King for any what's this called, matchups. Matchups that negate the abilities of the cards on their field. I forgot which deck had that. Then 2 more Savage Form for Lynx or whatever, Plague. Then I was doing 2 King Waves Caliber Grief for the Link matchup. I sided these in and I drew them, but I didn't need to use them. But it was still nice to have, just knowing if he had another turn that I could just counter-destroy all of his cards. So that is my, deck profile and regional experience. Everybody was cool. Playing against Kai was awesome. Playing against all of the new decks were scary as shit. Like, all of the decks do so much for nothing. The players were great. I actually left something on the table and somebody returned it to me. Making new friends and talking to other people about deck ideas and stuff was awesome. But I think if I could do anything differently, I think I would have actually worked on my sideboard and put in the Gauge spells so that I don't get totally cucked by the idol. But Oh yeah. Also, I do not want this mat. So if you want to buy this mat, just message or comment or like hit me up on what is it called? Facebook, and I'll sell it to you. A lot of the other championship mats were selling for like 60 to 70, but I'm willing to take offers because I literally don't care. I play these games for money or like free trips, not for stuff like this. But hope you guys like and subscribe. I'm going to try to get my teammate who also topped Vanguard to do like his little whole regional spiel because he topped in premium. Then we had another guy who we already put up on the channel from our area who won standard with Tachikaze. So check out that video too. Like and subscribe. If you want to see any other decks or deck profiles for us to do when we have time, just send me a message and I'll try to work on those. Peace.